Yeah.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best? There is no second best.
Thank you for joining Disco Fans. This is Discover Crypto. I'm your host, DZ, with Josh. And for the first time in feels like ages, in crypto years at least, me and Josh are in the same studio today. We're here with TJ. Josh.
Yeah, it took a lot of negotiations from our handlers to allow us to be in the same room here today. But
I was tied to a chair the whole time.
Duct tape couldn't produce. It's been absolutely wild in the basement. Do not go downstairs. Okay, you will see a hellhole. But $91,200 Bitcoin, getting some life back into these markets. It feels good to be back in the studio. Green is happening with the markets. I think it's because we are back in this very room. TJ, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Looking forward to everything that's coming out. I guess you guys are a little zoomed out compared to me. I got to zoom myself out, but no, feeling good. Ready for some action tomorrow with the strategic reserve. Prices are pumping. I'm feeling bullish as always. But yeah, looking forward to finding some good new picks and seeing what drama is going to unfold next.
And speaking of unfolding, we're unfolding some audio cables. So just give us a second. We're working through the issue. So if you hear a little bit of an echo, we're currently just tweaking, adjusting. Like I said, first time back in the studio. We've had to revamp all the way from the ground up with our software, moving cameras, moving microphones, unplugging wires, 16 consoles. It was a whole situation, folks. But we're going to talk about the crypto market. We got major news about March 25th. What the heck does that mean? Is the market's about to explode on that day? We got Donald Trump. He just bought 3 coins within the last 12 hours. We got Cardano being excluded from the crypto summit. Charles Hoskinson has fired back. And we got news with the SEC versus XRP. And we were going to have the Aave founder, but we have rescheduled. So if you're waiting for that, it is going to happen. We're just kind of moving some dates around.
And said he got caught in traffic apparently. And also, Josh, I need to get your screen in here when you have a second. So I had it a second ago, but yeah.
And as people said, DZ is broadcasting live from Mother Russia. That is right. I'm hanging out at Vitalik's uncle's house, if you're wondering where I'm at. And the mic, we're going to be working on the mic issues. So just give us a second.
Yeah, Josh, hit the Cosmic Lounge. I don't think we're going to get this fixed. Your mic is picking up tons of echo. So if you can.
All right, I'll be back
in 10 minutes, guys. We'll see you guys soon.
Yeah.
We tried. Cosmic Lounge is in the woods, so he's gonna have to climb a fence, go through a manhole cover. It's gonna be a whole thing, everybody. So it should start sounding a little bit better now. Josh, I feel so bad. Should I take your spot? You hang out in the studio. He's walking away like he's walking in the rain. It looks.
Yeah,
like.
It was that was depressing. That was sad. Felt like we just kicked him. Like we was like, you know what, you can't play today. You got to go home. But
all right, nasty stepmom saying we are good. All right, so folks, just give us. We got sound gates. We got all types of things we're currently tweaking. All right, looking at the markets right now, Bitcoin is up 2.7%. But as I hit refresh, still around 2.7. ETH is up 3.3. XRP, like I said, big news with the SEC versus XRP. Is the case going to be over? We got the rumors, we got the speculation, and Cardano, like we said, being excluded, and you can see the markets reacting. Cardano slightly in the red, and Pi, more and more people are able to sell this token and say, wait, this should not be worth more than Chainlink. I was looking at my account, 7 days roughly to get your KYC. So if you have like 50 or 100 on your app, hey, go get you $100, get you $200. So you can work on that. Now, TJ, folks, you can't see. He's running all around. He's moving wires. He's moving things. He's unplugging things. He just ran by me underneath. Swee, huge pump with Swee.
Yeah.
We're going to tell you why. I got that breaking news.
Breaking news this morning. That's pretty big news.
Huge news. In fact, it might be the biggest gainer in the top 100. No, that is Move. And we're going to have let's go ahead and front run it. Yeah. That was one of the 3 coins that Trump bought. And you can see it is reacting very, very favorably here. Kronos going up 20% as well. We talked about that one. So looking at some very, very strong projects. And Near, man, I haven't seen a Near pump. I haven't felt bullish on Near in a long time. Still well below the $5 range, which it was stuck at for a long time. Well below the $20 all-time high that it put way back in January 2022. But looking at that chart, that thing has been beaten down. Maybe the bleeding will subside. I'm starting to feel like this might be near a bottom for Near. What do you feel about Near, TJ?
Yeah, Near is one of those. They're also going to be at the crypto summit or have at least representation at the summit. This is another one that kind of sits on both crypto and AI. A lot of people like it for that reason. This could be a buying opportunity for Near. It's one of those. I think we're starting to get into the part of the cycle where we're going to see the majors outperform. We're going to see people moving into quality projects and not just chasing low caps and speculating on things. We're moving away from speculation into value, in my opinion, or less speculation.
Speaking of value, so near yet so far from its all-time high. We got someone asking about Move. Let me see if I can find the comment here. I don't even know what Move does. Well, you move to earn, and the way that works is you got your chode, you get a node, and then you. Anyways, folks, so we're not going to get into the tokenomics. We can read the brown paper later. All right, looking at CoinGecko, I want to look at the biggest losers here. We got Maker really just not taking the attention like Aave is taking the attention. Last cycle, Maker and Aave kind of synonymous. You can see them in the same conversations. You see people talking about Maker and Compound a lot. Compound, really, you don't see it too much. You don't see Maker too much. I'm making a prediction here. You might not see Maker in the top 100 by the end of 2025. I know that's pretty bold, TJ. Hype is down, Pi is down, Quant is down, Tau is down, HBAR is down, and Cardano is down. But HBAR and Cardano still very green for the week. You see Cardano still up 40% for the week, so don't be worried. And HBAR is up 20% for the week.
So we got
either one.
Super chat here from Dari C. How are we feeling about Render, USA made coin / AI? Well, go ahead.
Well, I've been pretty public. I'm, largely bearish on the narrative of what Render is trying to accomplish. Decentralized compute. I don't think that's going to take off in any kind of meaningful way, but the coin is very green and it's one of the few quality projects on Solana. So buying a quality project on Solana is trying to buy a quality altcoin in 2021. Limited selection. So because of that, it's probably going to do fairly well. I do think it's going to flirt with double digits in the billions here. So $10 to $20 billion market cap. If we look at the all-time high, it was above 5 billion not that long ago. This is near the AI hype. AI hype will return. And I see, maybe a potential little bit of a bottom, a little bit of a trend line. Not super bearish on Render, just the long-term prospects. You're not going to, I'd rather buy Bitcoin if I was to hold a coin for 2 years.
Yeah, for sure.
But far from dead. Far from dead.
Yeah, Mike says Render was killed by DeepSeek. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's kind of my thesis as well. We don't need as much compute as what we thought a year ago, and you can see, moving forward. Did we get Josh jumping in, or
I haven't seen him yet. No, I got my maybe unless Aaron can see it, but it looks like I can't see it. No, not yet.
All right. So let me know. I'll throw the headphones on. Of course, we want to get Joshua Jacobs take in on some of this, but let's get into the stories. First, we got Bitcoin's price action. Boom! Looking good. Oh, isn't that just a perfect GIF right there?
Yeah,
I love it. Oh, one more time. You gotta hate it right there. If that's your portfolio, smash that like button. Well, now let's talk about March 25th. March 25th could be blast off date for Bitcoin as the US dollar hits a 4-month low. And if we keep scrolling here, so Bitcoin predicted to blast off in 3 weeks as global liquidity trends turn in favor of crypto and risk assets. The reason we're talking about this is the DXY. This is a US dollar index and measures the strength of the dollar against a basket of other currencies, aka the rest of the world's money. So it measures the dollar versus the rest of the world's money. And now it is threatening to drop below a key level. And so the strength of the dollar is weakening. If this trend continues, if the dollar keeps getting weaker, global money supply will soon reclaim new all-time highs. This is the most bullish chart you'll see today. And so this is the strength of a dollar. And so the reason you would, say you're Germany, say you're Japan, say you're Russia, the reason you would print a bunch of money is, the speculation is, we don't know, of course, they're going to print a lot of money and buy dollars on the cheap. And so when they do that, that's going to end up in turn fueling Bitcoin, fueling risk on assets. What do you think of that theory? Dollar weakening, Germany and other countries print a bunch of money to buy a bunch of cheap U.S. equities and say U.S. Treasury bonds.
Yeah, I think that's very likely, and I think that makes a total sense. So I think that's what we're seeing right now. We've been seeing it for a while with trade wars. The printer is one of your strongest weapons. Who can print the most, who can print last, who holds the most of the other one's currency, and we've been experiencing these currency wars, so to speak, for almost a decade, probably more than a decade at this point. So yeah, I mean, I think you're on point, right? Exactly with what's going on. We're seeing it's tariffs meets trip printing. I think I saw yesterday China's cranking up the print. They're like, yeah, sure, we'll shrug off the tariffs, and we'll just print the money to cover the difference, which is probably what we figured they were going to do, which is probably good for us. So it's, it definitely all work balances out. So yeah, I think you're on point.
Speaking of balances out, we got Josh back in the balance here. Josh, how are you doing from the Cosmic Lounge?
I'm back home, dude. I feel like I'm 30 feet away or something like that. People feel like this is a different world, but it's I'm actually just one wall behind them, guys. So
yeah, just
I
one
feel like
office
I'm part
away.
of the family.
Here, you want a high five, Josh, real quick?
We could do it.
Other side, other way.
Boom.
Nope, Josh, other way.
Oh.
Wait, what do you mean the other way?
That's a scuff.
Oh.
Hey, boom. Hey, hit that like button. Smash
Maybe
that
you
like.
might not be.
Just...
You might be inverted.
Oh,
on your
you
side.
inverted it on my. It's like, what do you mean?
That's hilarious.
They're trolling, guys. They're just trolling me at this point.
Yeah, Josh did inversion therapy, but not that kind. All right, looking at analysts here talking about the M2 money supply, back of the money supply, is giving us clues about the Bitcoin breakout. Bitcoin is sensitive to the global liquidity trends, with the bull markets closely tied to phases of expansion. Looking right here, gives us a March 25th blast off date, because Bitcoin and altcoins need a much needed boost ahead of time. And also March 7th, tomorrow, we got the first White House Crypto Summit, and Ludnick suggesting this should yield confirmation of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Well, what are your thoughts of Bitcoin M2 money supply? Are the money printers ever going to stop, Josh? I mean, do they need to continue for Bitcoin?
They have to continue just for our deficit issues. I mean, we are $36 trillion in debt. I think it's sometime within the next 6 months, we are going to have to we have to refinance no matter what to pay off $7 trillion in debt. And so ultimately, this is why I think you were talking about this. I joined a little bit into the conversation here, is why we see Donald Trump really trying to weaken that dollar and try to bring down those yields and those interest rates on the long term. So that way, when we go to refinance, it's not at 4.8%, but rather like a 2.3% or a 2.8%. And the conversation is also just going to be simply around how do we get there? And so these tariffs are what are causing that uncertainty in the market. Tariffs are what are causing, people to leave stocks and start, running into the bond markets. And that's going to bring down some of those yield aspects. So, it's to say that they're not going to print money, I think, is to say that, actually, I don't even know what you can relate that to, because
It's like
they are going
saying
to
politicians will stop lying. They'll
yeah,
stop printing
politicians are
money
going
when
to
they
stop lying.
lying.
They'll stop taking money from lobbyists. We have to print money, so they're going to have to raise a debt ceiling. They're going to use that as a giant political football, because they're going to be like, oh, Republicans just want to print more money and do all this stuff. And it's like, no, we have to pay off the previous debt that was already accrued, especially from COVID. And so this is kind of that way out here. And so I agree with the market sentiment there, that dollar value is going to continue to weaken here over time, and we'll more than likely see the Fed switch back to QE, maybe even sooner than expected. I'm hoping for probably the first part of 2026.
All right, we got breaking news. TJ, Josh, there's a new nickname for you. You might no longer be Ondo Man. Are you ready for the new name?
Lisando Al-Gaib.
John Doe.
John Doe.
What do you feel about
John Doe boy?
Because then you got John Doe, as well, and Josh Ondo. I like John Doe.
I don't ever want to be a John Doe. So it's
That's
a little
the
close there, but that is the other channels. But hey, we'll try again. We'll get there.
All right, well, folks, Disco fam, smash that like button. We're about to talk about Bitcoin's hammer stick pattern. We talked about the hammer stick pattern in the past. Let me go ahead and give you a quick refresher. So Bitcoin chart showing back-to-back weekly hammer candles, only seen a handful of time in Bitcoin's history. It's only seen 5 times, really. Weekly hammer candles are defined as the lower or upper wick making up 90% of the total price range. In the past 2 weeks, we've seen some pretty big swings here. And if we look here, the analysis has shown that Bitcoin has formed this weekly hammer with 90% lower wick only 5 times in its history. 2017 bull market correction hammer candle stands out, suggesting that such formations could signal turning points in price trends. So I have the post right here. This is from Checkmate. So go check out Checkmate, 111,000 followers there. This is the 2017 correction. Now, this top right there, it isn't actually the top. It's a little bit of a log chart, so it's kind of hard to tell. This is when Bitcoin hit 69K. This was a little local bottom, ended up blasting to what no one thought would happen, which was brand new all-time highs. This one, also signals a bottom right there, signals a bottom right here. Is this signaling a bottom? Let's go into the charts. Let's actually look at the data. So these are the weekly candles. Let's show the first hammer. Here we go. Hammer time, baby. We got hammer time. The next week, very volatile. Something to keep an eye on as we're looking at this week's hammer candle. Bitcoin would then do a 10x, everybody. Then we got another one right here, another little local bottom. Bitcoin would then do in a short amount of, well, maybe not a short amount of time, shorter amount of time, about a year. That was a 273% pump. You zoom out, 453% pump. So we're seeing another one. And not only that, we might get 2 in a row. So does this spell double bullish behavior? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think so. I think look, I've been saying it for a while, but I really do feel like we're about to see an incredible bull market, the end of diminishing returns. Seeing this bull market is going to greatly overshoot the last cycle, the 2021 bull market, in my opinion. I think it is going to be more similar to what we saw in 2017, potentially even the super cycle that was before that. Now, obviously, the impact is. We are seeing less impact with the rewards getting cut each time in the halving. I think the next one will have a little bit of a less impact, but seeing nation state FOMO kick in, like what we're seeing right now, seeing China freaking out, seeing, Bhutan doing stuff and nations doing stuff, everybody in the US piling in, people, even Larry Fink and BlackRock coming out talking about, yeah, every millionaire in the US can't get one Bitcoin. Like everybody loves to float that around. And it's true. I mean, I think we're getting to the point where the supply crunch, we've been talking about it. We've been seeing it leave exchanges. We've been seeing people pour into these ETFs, that we've been staying in this consolidation range. When it breaks out, it's going to be glorious. And the fact that we're starting again, a $10,000 candle in a 1 hour candle yesterday, 10,000 candle back the other way. Now that, in my opinion, is somebody trying to keep the price in check so that way they can keep stockpiling this Bitcoin. And very, 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 very soon, it's going to start to take off. I do think mid to late March is the beginning of it. Now, I'm not saying we're going to just go straight up. I don't want to, don't get me wrong. We're going to have huge pumps and huge corrections. And that's always what happens in these markets. So we're going to move, we're going to move to 120 with authority and with speed and with haste. And then we're going to come back down and to test 107. And then we're going to go up to 135. And then we're going to come back down to 120. And it's going to be great if you're trading. There's a lot of opportunity in DeFi in fees if you guys are getting into that. And that's what I'm most excited about right now is we're really seeing DeFi hit its stride, and we're seeing us move towards a world where you, the user, get to be the beneficiary of all these fees. You get to participate in the fee rewards, in the buying and the selling of all these processes. Banks are going to start getting into DeFi and having to offer yield to their customers. And if you're plugged in right now, if you're doing this stuff, if you're engaged, if you're watching these videos, if you have the notifications on, you're hitting the like button, you're learning every single day, you can absolutely make money for the rest of your life in crypto and never have to have a real job again. And, isn't that what we all want? None of us want a real job, right?
None of us want to do that for sure. Now, you're talking about, Bitcoin adding more accumulation. Have you guys seen Michael Saylor's face lately?
Oh,
the giddy face?
Yeah.
Josh, have you seen this? John Doe?
Was it?
This is the
oh yes, yeah.
I know something face. Now, there's only 2 looks that this face will give. It's either A, you have a lot of Bitcoin and the government's going to buy it, or 2, you got away with a silent fart. Which is it, y'all?
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think he had a little bit too tall of a venti.
Oh, he had that baby laxative in his medicine.
I also think though it's going to be the fact that the reporter interviewing him alongside every other reporter called Michael Saylor crazy for years and years and years and years. And you still have people calling him the world's largest FTX scammer, and he's got a lot of
he's got baggage.
He's got baggage, and it just comes with an immersive asset class at this point, and he's been right for so long. That really irritates people. And rather than people's egos being stripped away, they double down to die on whatever lame hill they're trying to stand on. It's kind of like what you see happening in a lot of politics right now. But, so I don't know if he actually knows something here. But again, I think it's a matter of when, not if here. This isn't a conversation of the United States having a Bitcoin strategic reserve. It's a conversation of the world having a Bitcoin strategic reserve. So if the United States is going to be the first to do it, the fact that we have now announced that we have a crypto ball, we have a crypto summit coming up here on March 7th, we have a crypto czar, we have pro crypto legislations. It's only a matter of time before China, our largest competitor, who's trying to, stalemate us in a world, a world trade right now with the tariff trade, the trade war going on. it's only a matter of time before another country starts to, become that key player. So I don't know if it's gonna be a million Bitcoin that the country picks up. But I will say is like going back to what you're showing with those candlesticks on the weekly, there's a disgusting amount of buying pressure on Bitcoin for whatever reason, whether you want to believe it's manipulation, whether you want to believe it's insiders, whether you want to believe it's just simple market makers and liquidity. There's a lot of buying pressure between $81,000 or $80,000 and $90,000. Every single time we go back down to the $80,000 level, we are up about another $10,000 within 48 to 72 hours. And so, I think we're on the precipice of that. I think we are approaching the edge of that market where there is no longer a battle at who's going to be first to the space, but it's going to be a battle of who doesn't want to be last to the space. And as soon as the United States or China or a major country, first world nation, announces such a reserve, every other country is going to follow suit. So that right there for Bitcoin. If you guys don't believe Bitcoin's dominant, it's going to remain a lot higher this cycle. I know we have conversations of a sweet reserve and these things that we're going to talk about here in just a moment. I really hope it's weighted. I really hope Bitcoin's going to be 75% of this portfolio. I think it'd be great to have a competitive, weighted index where the top 10 US companies or something maybe added to a strategic stockpile, because that's going to just make a race to more investment in the US, make a race to become a better asset within the US market. But I'm excited. I think we're right around the corner from this announcement.
Speaking of excited, we got Lee Harrison in here, still learning, but don't know what half the things you're meaning. All right, we're going to try to explain a lot of this as we go along here. We have Arrow. Are you guys still bullish on Arrow at these prices, or more downside? Arrow is a top DeFi protocol, meaning decentralized finance protocol on the base ecosystem, which is an Ethereum L2, and a layer 2 is like, oh my God, there's so many terms. I can see where you mean. But Arrow, yeah, bullish on Arrow is actually one of the last 2 tokens that I bought within the last 48 hours. 2 days ago, pulled the trigger on a little bit of Arrow and a little bit of Bitcoin. I got in at 55 cents. It's currently 62 cents. Still bullish at 62 cents. I would not be bearish on that. One more super chat here. You guys think this bull run goes into next year, since there's much manipulation from these tariffs and new administration? I am not a super cycle guy yet. Maybe potentially. I still think we're going to probably top out September tail end, potentially October 2025. I think we'll get some relief bounces, some dead cat bounces, but I think that'll be the top 4 years, crypto rich. That's my 2 cents.
I did pull up the technicals here on Aerodrome. This is probably one of the best projects to pick up at this range. You're now entering, that last level of like really support here, which is going to be pretty strong here at 62 cents. I know we called this, I think Blockchain Basement called it 8 cents. We've been picking up heavy since 45 cents was when Coinbase bought that first dip there. But yeah, if these markets turn around and that you see that dollar continue to fall off, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Arrow start performing better again. You just have to remember that these DEXs are going to rely on exactly what TJ was talking about, is the transaction volume. And you guys know that the volume in these markets has definitely dissipated. But I do believe it's going to come back. So I think Arrow is another great project. If you guys are looking for a DCA at these zones, you had a great point. You had a great position here. What I wanted to point out, though, was the SPX play right here. So we are looking to, find support at that 57.36 range here on the SPX. And Bitcoin has been following it almost identically, especially when you zoom in to like the, let's go to the 5-minute time frame here. I just want to show you guys how closely tied the SPX has been. So as the SPX is, just falling back here today, you can see this wish-wash kind of trade action here. We've been trading every single breakout zone. So we traded this in the Telegram. In fact, we made about $15,000 in the last 2 days off our trades in the updates channel. And anybody in the Telegram can actually they watched us do it live for 2 days straight. So saw the breakout here, entered Bitcoin's price. Of course, Bitcoin followed directly suit with that breakout down here. So that might have been actually even a little bit further, but it broke up to the upside. Then again, you saw the SPX. Actually, I can pull these up side to side in just a second. Crash down, Bitcoin pulled back. Then it pumped back up, and see it's following suit. So whether it's a 75, 80% correlation here, if you're paying attention to the stock market, little triple bottom here action possibly. And if we get that upside in those risk on assets, you're going to see probably Aerodrome, the Swees, the Jupiters, and those type of altcoins start to perform a little bit better. And of course, you have the one-offs like Ondo and whatnot that have been just absolutely ripping here the last few days and up to, again, key levels at $1.17 now. But I think it's only a matter of time. So I think Aerodrome, if you guys are somebody that's looking to hop into it, these levels are definitely great DCA entry points.
Great DCA entry points. And speaking of entry points, we did close a trade yesterday on Solana. I ended up shooting a video last night. I ended up re-entering the trade. If you want to see my rationale for trading Solana, turn on notifications. It's going to be tonight's video where we're talking about a lot of the Trump summit stuff here. And currently we are up 55% on that trade. We're going to have an LBank link down below. Highly recommend trading on there, but they got all the new trading pairs.
Let me ask you while you mentioned that, how have you been like? I know you've used a lot of different trading platforms in the past. How
This
is
like going to sound dumb. This is going to sound dumb. I just really need this thing. I like the P&Ls, the stop loss. When you can see the lines on there, some exchanges, they hide it. And I honestly just hate that. And then also with stop losses and take profits, you can kind of play around with them. And that way it gives you a little bit more leeway. You can kind of, oh, I can see we dipped here, dipped there, went a little bit lower. So, maybe next stop loss would kind of continue that trend and you could kind of move those around. I kept the trade open because I knew we were going to be starting a show live. This was actually the trade here like about 2 hours ago. I was looking at it, I was like, well, I want to keep it open for the live stream. I want to keep it open for the live stream. It just kept dumping. I'm like, I'm going to keep it open for the live stream. Please don't make it a negative trade. So I held it open. I'm cutting my hands open for you, Disco fam. So smash that like button. Check out LBank, everybody.
Yeah, and you do get a reward if you guys use that link in the description or in the chat. So you get, I think it's $500 if you start trading with them. So check it out.
You brought up Bhutan. You brought up some of these Bitcoin accumulators. I don't want to get too wrapped up in the details. We're still kind of waiting. But the Prime Minister of Bhutan said the world is moving towards using and exchanging Bitcoin just like any other currency. Now, the GDP of Bhutan, very low. It's ranked around 150 out of 193 countries, depending on whom you ask. We're not going to get into that. Taiwan. We're not going to get into it, though. We're not going to get into it. But per capita GDP, the richest nation in Asia. And so we're talking about, maybe not giant treasury, but we're talking about, something significant nonetheless. Bhutan potentially adding Bitcoin. And we got the Belarus president says Bitcoin and crypto mining is profitable. Let's do it. And so we're seeing the nation state adoption happening in real time. This is just the past 24 hours, folks. It's happening fast. And speaking of nation state adoption, David Sachs, our crypto and AI czar here for the White House, over the past decade, the Fed sold approximately 195,000 Bitcoin. They only got 366 million. Had they hodled, it'd be worth over 17 billion today. That's how much it has cost the taxpayers not to have a long-term strategy. And I make the argument it'd actually be over 20 billion because of all the sell pressure that came from the 195 right there. And so our not having a Bitcoin reserve costs us potentially $20 billion. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money per American. It's actually only like 60 bucks.
I think
it's only 60 bucks per American.
I think dumping that's going to be worth hundreds of billions in the future. So I think that if the United States announces they have a Bitcoin restricted reserve, Bitcoin's, as soon as they announce they're purchasing 1 million Bitcoin, your Bitcoin's going up. That's a $30,000 candlestick. I'm saying that's going to create the biggest candlestick we have seen in history yet. Like just off the announcement of Donald Trump announcing a U.S. strategic reserve, not even purchasing. Imagine when they actually, now unless they come out and go, we're going to buy 50 Bitcoin a year and something so micro, or I don't think that's going to take the place. But imagine when they actually say we're about to buy 200,000 Bitcoin off the market there. That's going to cause a huge supply shock.
We got a $10 super chat. How do you feel about a strategy of pulling 10% a month starting next month and leaving 20% for the moon bag? Appreciate y'all. Benny Blue Eyes, I think in a vacuum, it's a fairly good strategy. In fact, it's a lot better strategy than a lot of people. You actually have an exit plan. So that already puts you in the top 20%. The only thing I would say is bad about that is if you're looking at a trading strategy for the next 8 months to deploy, you need wiggle room. You need to be able to be liquid. You need to be able to pivot and change your ideas. So don't just commit to it in March and then it's just July and we don't know what the market's like. And you're like, well, I just got to stick with this. But as of now, I do like the strategy. If Bitcoin dumps to 60, maybe that's a similar dump that we saw in 2021. Maybe that isn't a time that you sell. Yeah. Maybe that's when you deploy an extra 10% and then wait for a blow off top where you would sell more than 10%. But in a vacuum, just having an exit strategy is good, folks.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad you mentioned that blow off top, though, because that's one thing I would say to be careful with that strategy is we do know in cycles past, you see most of the gains, the big gains, the blow off top he just mentioned come right at the very, very end of the cycle. The last month, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that. So there's a pretty good, if you're up good, do it. Take that strategy. You've got to, if you, like DZ said, having a strategy is the first step, but I would caution you that might mean you end up not getting the most gains for your, you're going to be 90% sold by the time most of the gains come. So just keep that in mind.
I thought the first step was admitting you're powerless, TJ.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. Admitting, yeah, it's acceptance is a very key thing. Actually, I was listening to talking about that with a group of friends last night. So,
and I'm being a little trite, being a little funny here, but that's actually good advice. You are powerless against the market. You're powerless against where Bitcoin's going to go. You're not going to change it. So just move with the market. Don't try to fight it, kicking and screaming.
I got a question for the chat real quick before not to derail us. I know we have a lot to cover today, but the chat was going back and forth. They're saying there's no such thing as girls on the internet, especially a girl in crypto. And we're seeing a couple people. So I'm curious right now. I know we got Alexandra G, one of our top mods, and Sally Stacks is one of our members. But how many girls in the chat right now?
That's a girl.
Shout out for the crypto ladies. I'm sure it's 10% of our. I'm sure we're 90% male. But I'm just curious who. And there she is right there, Alexandra G, one of our top mods. She's never misses, always here. It says 2.3K watching right now, only 364 likes. Don't forget to smash that like button and send it to a friend. So there we go. We got Danny. We said we had Kylie Dance, Sally Stack. So yeah, let us know. Nicole, of course. Nicole, one of our OG members from the basement. So hey, look at that. Thanks, Mom. Mom's always here. Where'd it go? Naomi.
Yeah, they're rolling in.
They're rolling in. So anyway, just wanted to give a quick shout out to the crypto ladies. We would not be here without you. All of us, obviously, all married here and happy to. We're contributing to this administration,
nuclear families,
pro-family administration. So
yeah, love it, and appreciate the $2 super chat there. Go check out their channel. This is the Bitcoin way. You can just click on directly on their photo down below. We got Crypto Rover. Breaking news. We said we're going to reveal the Trump buying 3 coins. He bought $10 million worth of Bitcoin, worth of ETH, and we kind of front ran it in the beginning. He also bought a little Move. This came just, right before the summit, about like 36 hours. $21 million of ETH, Bitcoin, and Move tokens there. So for the total there. So we got the ETH at 2238. Kind of want to check this out. So we got the ETH at 2238. They're up slightly. And when I say slightly, I mean about as slightly as you can get. You got the Bitcoin at 90,415. Again, slightly in profit. He's up $300. And then he got the Move, and this is where it's really going to diverge. You got Move at 43 cents. And that bag actually only now 49 cents. So it was a little bit higher earlier in the day. We go to the 24-hour. You can see he's peeled back a little bit from these peaks here, but he is up pretty well on the Move there. This is coming ahead of him and, having that big conference, the big summit tonight in the World Liberty Fi purchases. This is what I want to read. Where Trump and his sons hold ambassadorial roles comes ahead of the summit scheduled for tomorrow. Looking here, we have the guest list, and now we're going to talk about Cardano being snubbed. I got some hot takes on that. I know people are talking, why the hell is Charles snubbed? We got our own takes here. So this is the expected guest list for the Crypto Summit tomorrow. Confirmed, we got Michael Saylor, CEO of Bitcoin Magazine, Paradigm, Exodus, Multicoin Capital, David Sachs, former partner there. We got World Liberty Fi, Chainlink, Coinbase, Robinhood, Kraken, Crypto.com, Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple. So we're seeing a lot of exchanges. We're seeing some coins here. Confirmed, we got from the White House here. Unconfirmed, we got other people from the White House. And unconfirmed, here's the list. So maybe no Kathy Wood, no Vitalik, no Jeremy Allaire, no CEO from Tether, no Charles Hoskinson, no founder of Solana, and no Mark Andreessen. These are unconfirmed. But I have the alpha for you folks. There's an event across the street. This is actually serious. There's going to be another large event across the street, another ball. Maybe these people are going to be there. Maybe we'll try to send John Doe to, sneaking through a window. I don't know. What do you feel about that, Josh? Would you be willing to crash the crypto
into
ball?
A White House window or crash the ball?
Because, Hunter may have left the window open for you.
I think they've been patched up, or maybe there's a line of cocaine that I can follow.
It's not breadcrumbs. It's something else. But it gives you energy. You're bursting through the door at the end.
Yeah, it's we'll see. It's ending up being pretty private and closed off. So I'm trying to get, as long as I can get like a guaranteed ticket, we'll fly up there last minute and do the live stream. But if they're like, yeah, no, you can't cover, like you can't bring cameras in, whatever it is, I don't want to fly up there.
Do we know if there's going to be any like media coverage of it? Is it something that's going to be streamed or something we could stream here? No.
So
okay.
it's I reached out to contacts and everything, but Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to exactly
I
look.
got some details here. This is from Cointelegraph here. Here's what, they talk about the confirmed list here. And so it's 11 executives and 2 White House representatives have confirmed. It's unclear, aside from Bo Hines and David Sachs will be there. But if you go back to the executive order, this crypto working group has Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, Pam Bondi, SEC chair, CFT
Yep.
chair, and others. There's the
But
list
none
right
of them are
there.
confirmed.
Yeah. And so why this list doesn't have Brad Garlinghouse has confirmed he's going to announce the summit on his own X account there. Here's what I was revealing earlier. The larger invite-only reception is being planned across the street from the White House for those not invited to the roundtable meeting. And as speculation continues, they are calling for the inclusion of some of these people, including Kathy Wood, Vitalik, Allaire, Arduino, Hoskinson, and Yakovenko. They should all be there. I would agree with that assessment there. So maybe they'll be at the across the street kids table. I wouldn't consider it the kids table, but it's a little bit like the kids table, right?
A little
Is that
bit.
bad?
Nah, a kids table is always more fun, right?
Yeah, I don't know if
Yes.
it's
I would
So-
say well, wow, that was something. You could argue that the event across the street might actually be more impactful for companies than the actual event itself. I mean, the people that are there, they've already probably got most of this information. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be value. It's very political, very politicized. It's got a lot of be handshaking and networking and that sort of stuff. But there's just as much, I think, going to be going on around, kind of like a crypto conference, right? So you go to a crypto conference. Is it really all about that one keynote speech, or is it about all the satellite events? It's about all the satellite. It's about all the parties that are going on, all the other events, all the gatherings, the networking events. That's where the conversations are happening. And I think that's the key here is we're getting the industry, the top players of the industry are all coming together to have serious conversations about how they can move the industry forward in a meaningful way for progress that not only helps the industry, but helps the United States, which is extremely bullish, in my opinion, both for the crypto industry and the United States. So very excited. We got a super chat here. Do you believe there will be a dip in the summer? My strategy is to sell by April/May if I'm in profit and buy back in the summer when it usually
I'm looking at the weekly chart here. 2021, dump during the summer. 2022, dump before the summer, but then dump during the summer. 2023, dump during the summer. 2024, dump during the summer. A lot of this, sometimes it's starting in May, so late spring. It's a consistent theme. Sell in May, walk away. Maybe it's April. And if we look, let's see, 2020, well, that had something kind of happening in March, so maybe we don't include that one. But 2019 is like the last time we didn't dump during the summer. So maybe this time's different, but we typically dump during the summer.
Yeah, that being said, I would be careful with that strategy. And I mean, you know yourself, I guess, if you're a good trader, if you know what you're doing and you're up in good profit, great. I go for it. I'm not telling you how to handle your portfolio. That being said, I've just seen a lot of people try to do that. I'm up good. I'm going to sell and I'm going to buy back lower. And they don't end up buying back lower. They end up rebuying at a higher. They keep waiting for that lower price to come. It doesn't come. It pumps back up, and they're like, "Oh no, I can't buy here now. I'll be getting less Bitcoin than I had before. I got to wait for it to come back down." Then it keeps pumping and it keeps pumping and it keeps pumping, and then they're like, eventually they have to pull the trigger, and they end up with half as much Bitcoin as they would have had.
Very faint. It's just like laughing.
Yeah, and I'd be one of these people if I had just simply bought Bitcoin as much as I could, whenever I could, and never sold it. I would be in a much better financial position today than if I had been trying to play all these markets. That being said, I've done pretty well playing the markets and with altcoins and different things. So I'm not going to, I don't say I regret that, but I'm sharing that experience with you guys now. If you're new here, I've been doing this since 2017. And I have come to learn I outsmarted myself way too much. If I just kept it simple and did the easiest thing, you can see this is clearly the number one asset in the world. Everybody is clamoring to get their hands on it right now. This really isn't that hard of a trade. Buy it, sit on it, give it 10 years, retire.
Any in 4 years. And, I don't know if I'll sell any this cycle. I'll sell all my speculative alts, though. Here we have Charles Hoskinson's quote, "I am not going to the White House on Friday." Here we have the article kind of explaining what he means. Cardano excluded from the crypto summit. The founder confirmed here. In a video clip, he explained, unlike other industry figures, his team received no invitation. He confirmed that his exclusion from this 4-hour gathering has generated significant attention within the cryptocurrency industry here. And he basically just, he does list some other people, however. So he lists some people, 4 domain experts that he says should be there in typical Charles fashion. He normally doesn't flop and grope. He'll normally say, I'm fine not going. In fact, here's other people who deserve to go more than me. I thought that was kind of interesting because they're all people for different coins. HBAR, Algo, Aptos, and
Eagles.
Charles showing love to the other projects out there. So,
Eagle, you think Eagle has a chance to come back?
No.
Yeah, you both say no. Yeah, that was a surprising one on that list there. Yeah,
Eagle, it does pay to be not consensus, right? I'm not.
Multiverse X, by the way, it's not E-Gold anymore.
Yeah. Well, I know, but
true.
Yeah, which
case in point.
Yeah, it's E-Gold's literally never coming back.
This guy's saying we should reach out to the Moonwell founder. Maybe we get that scheduled after the Aave founder.
I'd love that. Yeah, we like Moonwell. Yeah,
Luke. Yeah, you sent me. I saw your message, Biz. So we'll reach out. Let's talk a little. Speaking of Cardano, let's talk about the charts. Let's talk about the prices here. Let's talk about the candles. Cardano positioning itself for a potential 40% price move. I saw this wedge here forming. This was from 4 hours ago. 4 hours ago. We're about to go to the 1 hour candle. You're about to crap yourself. I hope you're sitting down if you're a Cardano holder. We broke the support, everybody. These are 1 hour candles. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He drew it. It looked perfect. But then you go forward 4 hours. Things are looking a little bit dicey here. This could signal, I'm not saying guaranteed, but technically speaking, this could signal a move that is going to be similar to the length of the triangle when we look at the width here. So we could break up to the upside, break up to the downside. Now, if we break to the downside, 53-cent Cardano. Very, very scary. If we break to the upside, however, 168. I like that number. And if we look, did we have any action or any kind of pausing around those levels? Potentially.
There's volume there. Yeah,
there's volume. So just some targets for Cardano for you to keep an eye out on. Here we have some Solana news too. This is from Marty Party. I get conspiratorial. This guy gets real conspiratorial when it talks about manipulation. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying, there's a lot of dots being connected here that, could be dubious. Here we see the Binance Solana holdings since October 2024, when they started triggering their market dumping strategy. One can clearly see the strategy used by exchanges like Binance to accumulate coins and then sell all their reserves. They flush the books and then they buy the asset back at a new low. This goes for most assets on their books, but here's how they sold Solana and then they bought it all back. What do you guys think? Was this part of a strategy to accumulate cheap Solana?
Yes.
Oh, Josh, what do you say?
I think it's market makers just doing market maker things. I think that there's always inside knowledge here. There's always inside knowledge. But also it's like, I'm not going to blame strategy just for having a huge Solana bag that they're selling off that they might be profitable on.
Here's what he's saying. The strategy started suppressing the price.
And then we just didn't have an altcoin market. So it just was like extra selling pressure, if that makes sense.
All right. Well, scared to hear. Y'all ready to talk about XRP Army? XRP community, smash that like button. I know some of you hold a little XRP here. SEC to dismiss the case tomorrow. Here's what is happening. And so this tweet was from yesterday. And so when they say today or tomorrow, they're meaning ending today. And so this came from Joshua Dalton. He's a lawyer suggesting the SEC will dismiss its case now today. His post made yesterday suggests the resolution could come today when the SEC has their closed meeting scheduled. And Scaramucci has hinted, no, it has already happened. They just haven't announced it. So we're seeing some insiders speculate the lawsuit is over. Now they're having a closed-door meeting today to discuss legal matters, including potential settlements and enforcement actions, and it's taking place just one day before the White House Crypto Summit. Fielding speculation that there's going to be a resolution to this case imminently. Now, Brad Garlinghouse is an invitee, a fact that many are saying is a sign of a settlement or a dismissal of the case. Are we jumping to conclusions, fellas?
No, I mean, I think it's going to get dismissed. I think we've been near it getting dismissed for a long time. This administration has shown that, the SEC has been backing off almost every one of these cases. So I think this one being the highest profile, being the most invested in this one, it's going to take a little bit more time to unwind, but it will be unwound inevitably.
All right. What do you think, Josh? Is it going to end? All right, let's say it does. What happens to XRP's price? Let's go to the charts here. I'll pull it up.
I think it'll shoot, but it's not going to be. I think most of it's been priced in.
All
I think it's
right.
been pretty priced in. I think maybe you start shooting back towards $3.
Okay. So the top
all
of our local range
speculation.
is 344. If we hit the top of our range here, we're looking at 30% pump, a little bit over.
Yeah, I agree with Josh. I think it is mostly priced in at this point. We've seen the big move came when it was announced that this was close to happening months and months ago. I'm not saying it can't move. I think at this point it might get more movement from some of the strategic reserve announcements or some of these other announcements we're seeing coming out. But again, and maybe we'll get to this. I know you have a lot of stuff to cover, but my question, I want to talk about it before we wrap the show up, maybe at the end. Is this going to be a sell the news event, or is this going to be kind of for one of the first times ever a buy the news event, and then we're going to continue to pump afterwards? Curious, and that's a twofold question. One of those, buy or sell the news on Bitcoin, and then buy or sell the news on altcoins, because I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the same. But you guys want to answer that now or come back?
Talk about the summit. The summit itself
tomorrow. Yeah, when it gets announced, is that a sell? Was this a obviously the rumor is what made it pump. Will we dump over the weekend after the summit?
Everybody's saying sell, including a lot of people in our chat. That makes me think the low liquidity weekend could go up.
So you're saying that this might be a buy the news?
Could
potentially.
Be.
What about
Could
you,
be.
Josh?
I think it's going to be it's Friday. So they're doing this before we even know anything out of this meeting. Institutional markets are closed. So maybe you get a pump out of it, but I think this is more of just a conversational summit meeting. I don't know if there's necessarily anything going to be completely announced that's like in stone. Like now we know that Donald Trump has teased, or Howard Lutnick at least has, saying they have solved the strategic reserve. They know how they want to move forward. So I don't know if this meeting is going to be either in regards to that or getting the thoughts from industry leaders on that. And that's going to change it again. So I think there's a lot of speculation just running into the event. I think what we're seeing in terms of buying pressure over the last week is just Bitcoin following the SPX and markets trying to factor in the tariff conversations, the trade wars. And then, of course, Donald Trump announced the U.S. strategic reserve. So I think there's also manipulation, based off the exchange volume on that end. But really, it's following the SPX here. So I would imagine that if anything positive comes out of this, we'll see it next week. But happening on a Friday, it might coincide with downside action.
I don't have a FOMO account.
I honestly don't know.
I don't have a FOMO account signed in, but looking at the CoinGlass liquidations, this is 48-hour on Binance. The market's suggesting that it's going to get sucked down, that it's going to be a dumping event. And that number right there, if you're wondering, 86,200. So
yeah, Kelly said, I hope it's a sell the news event and it creates a gap above us on the weekend, so we get pulled back into the mid-March, middle of sometime next week we get pulled back up. I have I think it might end up being a buy the news on Bitcoin and sell the news on altcoins. Because I think people have a very overly bullish expectation of what the announcement on altcoins is going to be. I think they are going to talk about the weighting and potentially outline that, and hearing that, Cardano is going to be 0.7% or, something, things are single digits or less percentages are going to be a lot of these altcoins. I think is going to be a disappointment to a lot of retail investors that are thinking they're going to be going heavy on altcoins. I think it's going to be very heavy on Bitcoin. Like I think Josh just mentioned that they said they cracked that. They have solved the way they want to handle Bitcoin in its own category compared to other ones. So I think, it could be potentially bullish for Bitcoin. But generally speaking, guys, in these events, it is a buy the rumor. It is going to be a sell. Generally, we dip in the short term after this. That doesn't mean we're not going to be extremely bullish for the rest of this year, but generally speaking, people they price in this in anticipation, and then the news isn't quite as exciting as what our industry tends to want. We want it all. We want it now. We want it big. We want them to come out and announce we're buying 1 million, Bitcoin over the next 5 years per Cynthia Lemus's plan. We're going to be purchasing and purchasing and purchasing, and we want to see a huge candle on that news. Generally, that doesn't happen. They're probably going to come out and say, hey, we've got it figured out. But yeah. So.
Yeah, AG Wentworth candles, give me my money now. Where's the sweet love? Someone's asking here. Guinness Stash Irish car bombs. Not that bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, one's in the chat. I want to know who holds sweet. Give me a 1 in the chat if you hold sweet as we get into this story.
Because we do got some breaking news here. This is posted from Sweet's official account. Breaking, we're extremely excited to announce a partnership with World Liberty Fi. the Donald Trump DeFi protocol, rooted in a shared vision for a more open and transparent financial world. This is going to include World Liberty Fi, will include SWI and their strategic token reserve designed to bolster leading Web3 projects. World Liberty Fi and SWI have begun exploring product development opportunities. And if we look at the price, SWI is just going nuts right now. But when you zoom out to the 7-day, you're like, oh, we were higher 3 days ago. When you zoom out a lot, you're like, oh, maybe a good accumulation zone. I don't hate grabbing SWI under $3. I will say that. I'm not a buyer just yet. I think there's some some other World Liberty Fi tokens that are maybe buy ahead of this, maybe Ondo, maybe Aerodrome, kind of related. But SWI, I do like SWI under $3. What do you guys feel about this entry point for people who don't have a SWI bag, but they want a SWI bag?
I think to your point, it's a good DCA point at this level.
Great entry. Yeah, you could have got 233 during the scam wick down there, but you didn't. It's too late. Don't cry over spilt milk. Just go ahead and get you some under $3 SWI. I don't think if it dips down below, I don't see it. It's been a while since it hit these levels. To me, this area right here looks like a little bit of a trend line form, and I might have to draw this out, folks. We might see a fresh trend line here. Let's go to the daily. All right, so we drew that. We ended up rejecting off of that, but we got another one right here. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Interesting chart there, though. Just is a lot cheaper than it was. Oh, there we go. That's what I was trying to draw.
That or I would wait
I don't
for
hate that.
an actual just wait for a dip again. Oh my god, SPS just bounced right there. But it's I wouldn't buy anything this weekend if I'm being honest with you. I would wait for this crypto summit. That like trading a news event is the hardest thing that you're not supposed to do it in markets. Don't trade major macroeconomic dates. Don't trade the Federal Reserve FOMC meeting. So I would also just say I know it's tough because you could have bought at 77K Bitcoin. You could have bought at 80K Bitcoin. You could have bought at 85K Bitcoin just a week ago. But if you're really trying to look into DCA into these projects, unfortunately, patience is the game here. And if we could see a buy the rumor, sell the news event tomorrow. We could also see what TJ's saying. Maybe this is the first buy the news event where they announce something crazy tomorrow that shoots prices up again. But unfortunately, I'm personally just sitting back from those trading days.
All right. Nothing wrong with that. Protecting the capital is the name of the game here. Now, speaking of protecting, New York wants to protect you. Not from trash on the sidewalk, not from people on the subway, not from rats biting your ankles. They want to protect you from meme coins, though. New York bill aims to protect crypto investors from meme coin rug pulls. They got some legislation aiming at targeting rug pull scams where project insiders abruptly abandon a project and drain investor funds. There's the article right there. Virtual tokens revert to security tokens and stablecoins, while security tokens include any form of fungible or non-fungible computer code, which forms of ownership are said computer code determined through verification of transactions. So any kind of NFT, like Trump coin, I think would apply to this, and that is stored on a peer-to-peer computer network. And so if you digitize a Charizard card, you can't sell it if you don't work on that Charizard card for the rest of your life. It's kind of what I'm saying here. So I don't know if this could pass. I think you should be able to release digital collectibles. I don't know if you guys feel differently, but I think digital collectibles should be a normal thing. We do have a First Amendment right.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So we'll see how that plays out. I'm still in the trade. Josh, should I just go ahead and close this and profit? Go bro.
What are you up in profits right now? I can't see that.
I mean, it was 50%. Now it's down to 36.
Yeah.
Are you gonna soul long?
All right. Well, there you go, folks.
Bouncing a little.
The trade
Good trade.
Yeah, there we go.
Fantastic trade.
All right, looking at the markets right now, we hit refresh. Looks like Bitcoin, a little bit of a pullback here. Ethan, a little bit of a pullback. We're seeing a little bit, Cardano and even a stronger pullback. So a lot of the gains have been being erased, except for some of these big winners here. Movement and SWI still piggybacking off of Trump news. And it shows us that Trump can still create green candles. It isn't quite like Elon, where the 17th time he's tweeted about Doge, it quits doing anything. Right now, Trump still got at least a little juice, y'all. So
yeah, do you miss the good old Dogecoin Elon tweets and pump it by like 5%-10%? It's just
and then it was like 4%, then it was like 2%, then it did nothing. Then it's like counter.
Sometimes it's a negative. Yeah, now it goes down.
All right. Well, Josh, anything you want to add for the folks here, for the Disco fam?
No, just gonna be working on videos today. I'll be live in the Telegram afterwards, live streaming some trades here. Looks like we got the SPX rebounding pretty well. If you guys can see on the screen here, this is what I'm telling you with Bitcoin trading alongside the SPX. So it's like some good price action. So I don't know what will be dropped tonight on Discover Crypto, but we will be live here later this evening covering.
Oh, the summit. We're talking about the summit. Yeah, I got all the details.
So perfect. So guys, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, repost if you're on X, and we'll see you in a bit.
Adios.